NCAA college basketball totals for Wednesday, November 16th. We're continuing our total segment here in NCAA college basketball. As always, we have our NBA total segment out there as well. Be sure to check that out. We're going to look at 3 games on the card. Be sure to check SBR for the best odds and see where the lines are moving. Let's go ahead. Let's jump right in. Good matchup today right here. We're starting out with Butler and Northwestern. Oddsmakers have it at 143, and we're going to go under the total in this matchup. Now, Butler was not very good defensively last year. They were great offensively, and their scoring offense is, one of the highest they've ever had, in the last 20 years, especially well above when Brad Stevens was there. They averaged almost 80 points per game. But it seems like, this year they are putting a more of an emphasis on defense, and so is Northwestern. We got Chris Collinsworth over there, a former Duke guy, and they were 4th in the Big Ten, as far as scoring defense. So they don't go super fast. Let's take a look at some of their matchups so far this year. Butler, they opened up with Northern Colorado. They allowed Northern Colorado just 46 attempts, which is good, and they allowed just 52 points. They scored 89. They were able to get some buckets in. They did only get up 60 attempts, but shot really well from the field. Northwestern, gosh, let's see. They beat Mississippi Valley State 94-63. Not really a good gauge right there. Then they went up against Eastern Washington. A game they won handily as well that went for 158 combined total points, but they only allowed Eastern Washington to get up 55 attempts from the field. So that's kind of what we're looking for. Northwestern got up 60. So, when we look at these two teams, they're pretty efficient in their possessions per game, but the way these two teams match up, it just seems there's going to be more of an emphasis on defense this year. Northwestern doesn't have a ton of scorers. Butler, they should be pretty good this year. The way it matches up though at the end, 143, I think it's a little bit too much. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to back under the total in what should be a little bit more of a defensive-minded game. All right, next one we got Brown and Rhode Island. I'm going to go over the 153 and a half. That seems like a lot of points. Rhode Island's absolutely loaded this year. Now, Brown, they recently beat Niagara 88-79. They only got up 50 attempts, but they shot lights out, 60% on their 2-pointers. Brown is not picked to do anything in the Ivy League this year, but they got 3 seniors back. They share the ball, a lot of assists, decent shooting team. It's going to be tough it's going to be tough against Rhode Island because Rhode Island was one of the best defensive teams in the Atlantic 10. So this gave me a little bit of a pause on this number, but I just like the way I think the tempo is going to go. Because Brown last year, they pushed a lot of tempo, although they didn't so much against Niagara. I think they're going to be able to do that tonight, and Rhode Island's going to be more than happy to get up and down. You look at them, they beat Marist 107-63. They got up 62 attempts. Marist only got up 55. But, they got some horses this year, like E.C. Matthews. That guy is an absolute stud, and they could win the A-10. This is a really good Rhode Island team. I think they're going to score a ton tonight. Brown, I believe, is going to do enough to go ahead and help get us over this pretty big total at the end at 153.5. That's a big number, but I think they're going to get there. And the last one up we got is UMass Lowell versus Indiana. Oddsmakers have it at 172.5. This is going to be an absolute track meet, but I'm going to go under the total. So you got UMass Lowell against Wagner, a team that beat UConn. They beat Wagner, which was kind of surprising. But they only got up 45 attempts in that game. They shot over 50% on their 2-point shooting, which was very helpful to win that game. And they shot 50% from distance to beat Wagner. They're not going to be able to do that against Indiana that seems to be defending the perimeter pretty well. Because against Kansas, they allowed the Jayhawks to shoot just 30% from distance. So if Indiana could do a good enough job in that aspect, I think they can hold UMass Lowell to a pretty reasonable number. That's a huge number, 172.5. I know this game's going to be fast, but man, they're really going to have to go. Both teams, Indiana's going to score for sure. They're both going to have to go though to get over this total. I don't think they're going to get there. Indiana, first in points in the Big Ten, one of the worst defenses there. So Tom Crean, hopefully, at least the way they were semi-okay against Kansas as far as the percentages go, I like for them to go ahead and stay under this big total. This is all about the number for me on this one. This number is just really, really big, and I think Indiana is going to be able to contain UMass Lowell enough to where, we're going to see one of those 98 to 65 or something like that. One of those type of, or even like 98 to 70. That'd be fine. That still keeps us under the total. So I think it's going to be something like that on this one. All right, those are our 3 NCAA totals plays for the day. Let's recap real quick. We got Butler and Northwestern under the 143. Very interesting line, but I think we're going to see a better defensive game than people anticipate. Brown and Rhode Island over the 153.5. I think Brown has enough. I don't want to say depth. They have enough experience to go ahead and put up to help out Rhode Island get over this number. I think Rhode Island is going to be really tough this year in the A10. And then we got a UMass Lowell under the 172.5, and where the number I think is just too big. Those are our 3 plays in NCAA basketball totals, and I wish you luck on your picks today.